Hello viewers, today we're going to try our hand at a wonderful Middle Eastern traditional dish, falafel. This is chickpea based. Chickpeas are an excellent source of protein and they're also really cheap. So to help vary some of your rice and bean type dishes, we're looking to the chickpea to help us out today. Parts well with our like halal style chicken dishes. Check out that video too. You can see how the rice component is made of this. These will be formed into a nice little ball. You can either pan fry them, or we're going to try the air fryer a little bit later for a little bit healthier of the treat. Starting off, we have our chickpea mixture, which this is about 1.5 to 2 cups of chickpeas, equal parts onion. Basically 2 medium onions chopped up in there, nice and loose. All of this will be prepared in a food processor. So just kind of keeping this an idea, we're going to try and mix in this pot because I don't know if we'll be able to fit it all inside of our container. Next items we're going to go through, and I'll measure them out and pour them in here as we go. We have 2 tablespoons of dried cilantro, 2 tablespoons of parsley, and a teaspoon of salt. We'll just start adding those in here, spread them out on top. Next thing we're going to do, 2 teaspoons of crushed red pepper. This is something that can be varied depending on your appetite for hotness. You want a nice spicy dish, go crazy with this. You can add as much or as little as you like. Next we'll be going to our garlic. We're just going to be doing roughly 4 cloves, so that's going to equal about 2 teaspoons of the already minced garlic here. We're going to go to 3 because we do enjoy a nice garlicky dish. Next, we'll be looking at our cumin. We'll be doing 1 teaspoon of cumin. Keep in mind, cumin's a very pungent spice. A little bit goes a long way, so be a little bit careful with that if you're not a huge fan of cumin. Alright, now that we've got that in our container here, we're going to give this just a light turn, try and get some of these chickpeas coated with it. Keep in mind, you can use canned chickpeas, but if you get the dried ones, which we prefer because they're oftentimes much cheaper, you will need to do an overnight soak, or even just a quick ready, which is usually boiling them for about an hour or so to get them softened up a little bit, very similar to like beans. But we'll take that, we'll move it over to our food processor here. Start loading this up. As you can see, we still have about half the mixture left in the pot. We'll take this. Now we want to go to just a nice blend versus a puree, so we'll start by running a little bit here. Check on it. See, it's still a bit of a coarse cut. We're going to go a little bit longer here, but we want to try and pack down the top, make sure we're not leaving any parts out. You can kind of hear the motor hit a 2nd speed there. That's usually a good sign that you're starting to get through most of the resistance. Take this, do our best to empty it out. It's not critical that you get all of it out of there because we do have a 2nd batch to run. As you can kind of keep track, so in 2 phases it works out to be just about perfect for this size of a Ninja blender. You can keep that in mind. Always use a metal instrument or something like that whenever you're poking into these food processors. The blades are very sharp. You don't want to accidentally cut your finger or something. Now that we have our mixture ready here, the last couple ingredients are going to be baking powder and flour. And the idea behind these is they're going to help act as a little bit of a binder and get a little bit of leavening when we start cooking it. Once we get those 2 in there, you can, if you had a food processor sized right, you could just blend the flour in with the food processor. But there's nothing wrong with taking a bowl like this and just kind of folding it in with a spoon. Once you have your mixture prepared, you're going to want to chill it in the fridge for a couple of hours. That'll help bring that consistency together. It'll be a little bit more workable. We'll start with our baking soda. It's going to be 1 teaspoon. We have a half teaspoon here. We'll kind of spread about a little bit on that edge, a little bit over here. And then I have about 4 to 6 tablespoons of flour. So the flour you're going to kind of add based more on consistency rather than an exact amount. So you need enough flour to help hold it together, but you don't want too much that you're kind of creating a dumpling. So just enough to hold the chickpeas together. We'll start combining this and we'll throw it in the fridge and we'll meet back with you guys when we start forming up chickpea
So
balls.
once you've chilled your mixture for, like we said, a couple of hours, or we actually kind of took a shortcut here because we're super hungry, so they actually hold together pretty well even without being chilled. But I'm just balling them up and we can lay them on plates or on your cutting board here. So the best way to do that is just to grab a bunch in your hand and kind of roll it together to form a ball. And we'll set those out. And you'll just keep going until your mixture is gone. You can kind of adjust the size however you want. This is just kind of the size that I've typically seen them made. But once we do that, we have our air fryer preheating to 370. And we'll put probably between 8 and 10 in there. We don't want to stack them, so just enough so that they're not super tight in there. And we'll cook them in the air fryer at 370 for, you know, between 12 and 15 minutes. We'll probably check them closer to 13 minutes, you know, somewhere in there, and go from there because it can just depend on the consistency. So we'll be sure to have a picture of when we take them out. And this is great to be enjoyed with that halal style rice, as Race mentioned. Check out that video. We also made a nice yogurt mayo sauce to go on top. That's kind of also the white sauce typical of the halal food. So be sure to check that out, and thanks for joining us for making some falafel. Hope you enjoy it.